Kia ora, welcome to the motion capture stage. It's 11 weeks to go till the movie comes out, but only 5 or 6 weeks until Weta Digital has to get all its visual effects shots, so fingers crossed. This week we're looking at the way that we bring King Kong to life, and there's 2 ways we do that. We do that with mocap and we do that with animation. This week we're looking at the motion capture and especially the motion edit side. So it all starts here in the motion capture stage. We put a lot of dots on Andy.
Andy, how old are you today?
21.
That's gorilla years.
Times like this, you really do wonder what you're doing with your life.
Andy does a particular performance. We take the pattern of dots, which the motion capture cameras see. We can figure out where those markers are moving in 3D, and from that pattern we figure out what muscle groups in his face are moving. And in those muscle groups in his face, we have a mapping from those to King Kong's face. And it turns out that humans and gorillas have quite a similar musculature.
The motion editing process involves taking the data that is captured on the day when Andy's performing on the motion capture stage, and then it's refined, cleaned up and enhanced so that, you know, he feels like a 24-foot gorilla rather than an actor.
And once the data of Andy is polished and looking good, we have to retarget it on Kong.
A lot of the data that we get from motion capture, a lot of times it needs extra tweaks.
They typically either need to polish the performance of Andy or change it, modify it.
There is quite a few shots where they do require a bit of performance change, which we can handle, like they don't have to go straight into animation.
And one of the neatest things about Mark software, which is the actual brain behind this whole thing, is that it analyzes Andy Serkis's performance. It looks at how his face is moving as human, and then translates that as to how it would work as a gorilla.
There's a lot of great performance we get sort of in the first pass of the facial capture through the eyes and the brows. But the area that needs usually the most work is around the muzzle.
We're using this type of system just so we could have some type of human interaction with that data after it goes through that translation. These muscle groups are what kind of make him angry. So if we increase them, he becomes angrier. And then we trigger the muscles that make him happy. Let's furrow his brows a little bit more. We start getting that kind of worried anxiety look in his face. And again, it would be the same performance, just different muscles creating that emotion.
I'm just trying to adjust a few muscles that maybe weren't picked up as good in the motion captures. You can see he kind of starts, he's really, really angry and wound up, and then he suddenly lost it. So basically the transition doesn't exist, which is something I had to add. And just trying to keep the tension on the eyes. And one good thing that we get through the mocap is the realistic eye movement.
When you're looking up and down, you're deforming your lid because the eyeball is not perfect sphere and it's pulling. There is a friction, so it's pulling the eyelids. We could transfer this into eye direction, into gazing. It worked really well. If the thing looks good, it doesn't really matter if it's motion capture or if it's animation. So as long as the mocap is used where it really fits, it's a great tool.
So hopefully that gave you, a little insight into one of the ways we're approaching creating Kong's performance, which is through motion capture and motion editing. And next week we'll be looking at keyframe animation, which is another one of the ways we've helped to bring Kong to life.